presence of the quorum.
Mr. Bunkovich.
Present.
Mr. Orkay. Mr. Khan.
Present.
Dr. Keen.
Here.
Mr. Carlson. Mr. McCarty.
Here.
Mr. Mooney.
Here.
Mr. Neal.
Present.
And Mr. Woniger.
We do have quorum, thank you very much. I do not believe I have any agenda changes for tonight. The agenda that is posted is as is. Moving to the approval of the previous meeting minutes for May 6, 2026. Pleasure of the commission.
Make a motion to approve May 6, 2026 minutes.
Moved by Mr. Bunkovich, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor McCarty. Any further discussion? Staff, would you please call the roll?
Alright, Mr. Khan.
Yes.
Dr. Keen.
Yes.
Ms. Carlson's not here. Mr. McCarty.
Yes.
Mr. Mooney.
Yes.
Mr. Neal.
Yes.
Mr. Woniger.
Yes.
And Mr. Bunkovich.
Yes.
Motion passes. Next item is to review the rules of procedure for tonight's meeting.
Yes.
Mr. Collingwood.
Thank you, President. General procedures for workshop meetings. The department will introduce the petition stating when the item was last before the Plan Commission. The Plan Commission and petitioner will then discuss the changes made to the ordinance using the issue list as a guide for the discussion. Once the discussion has finished, the department will summarize the final change that are expected to be made prior to petition returning for recommendation. Rules of conduct for tonight, please do not disrupt the proceedings in any way. If you need to have a private discussion, then we ask that you please quietly exit the room. Please silence your devices at this time. If you must answer them, then please quietly exit the room. And finally, we would like to remind those attending virtually to please mute your microphone when not speaking. Thank you.
Very good, thank you very much. Next section of the agenda is our consent agenda. We have two items, 2602-DDP-04, which is Park and Poplar Phase 1, 2605-DDP-12, Schaff CPA. If there are no notes from staff, would entertain a motion related to the consent agenda. Motion by Dr. Keen, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Khan, any further discussion? Staff, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Bunkovich.
Yes.
Mr. Khan.
Yes.
Dr. Keen.
Yes.
Mr. McCarty.
Yes.
Mr. Mooney.
Yes.
Mr. Neal? Yes.
And Mr. Woniger.
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you. Next section on the agenda is our workshop item for this evening, 2604-PUD-06, Lakes at Fremont. PUD Amendment 1, we will turn to, Weston is not here, so Mr. Collingwood, are you the man?
I am the man.
Then the floor is yours.
Alright, thank you, President, members of the commission. For the record, Ryan Collingwood with the Community Development Department. The item before you this evening is the Lakes at Fremont Planning and Development District. The subject real estate is approximately 108 acres, generally located a half mile north of the intersection at 193rd Street and Fremont Moore Road. The proposed ordinance would permit a residential community to be developed through the establishment of multiple districts, each with a different housing product type. The proposal includes language to address site amenities, landscaping, and other development standards currently under review. The primary focus for this evening will be the presentation from the petitioner's representative and review of the updated concept site plan for the property. Following this presentation, both staff and the petitioner will be available to answer any questions. This item is anticipated to return for a second workshop meeting at a later date, where specific ordinance details and development standards will be discussed. I should note as well that the issue list will also be ready and compiled for the second workshop meeting at a later date. That concludes my intro. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For the record, Stephanie Carlson did enter the room at 7:04 p.m. and is now present. Mr. Dobrzewicz, good evening.
I'm gonna grab the, use the keyboard, and I think I'm just gonna go back and forth if you make it a slide plan, or slide presentation. There you go, thank you. For the record, John Dobrzewicz with Nelson and Frankenberger. We represent the petitioner, Grant Communities, as well as Fisher Homes. Here tonight, amongst other members of the development team, are Curtis Mushi with Grant Communities, Nate Hollander with Fisher Homes, as well as Sean Sullivan, Division President of Fisher Homes in Indianapolis. This matter was presented to the Plan Commission back in March of this year, so about 6 weeks ago. We've made modifications to the plan. We want to review with the Plan Commission the adjustments that have been made to the plan since we presented for the public hearing, and then seek the matter to be continued until the June meeting. In advance of that, as staff had indicated, we'll supply a copy of the responses to the issue list, as well as an update on any final adjustments that we're making to the plan in advance of seeking the workshop recommendation and then coming back at your meeting in the first week of July, depending on the holiday, whenever that's scheduled, and then on to the council. So without further. Oh, it's not picking up the. It's not picking up the.
Switch.
Yeah, it's just not picking up the keyboard. This is a revised plan from what everyone saw in, I stand over here because I might point something on the screen to be easier. At the meeting in March. Overall, in general, we're summarizing the changes here. There was a summary provided in advance of tonight's meeting. But there's been a reduction in 30 lots, from 220 lots down to 190 home sites. That has resulted in 6 additional acres of open space. We placed the Designer 40 or the ranch product in the place of the rear loaded homes that were previously here along Fremont Moore Road. There are no longer any alley-fed, narrow, small home product along as part of the plan, so we've eliminated the alley lots. Fisher has increased the Grand Estates and Masterpiece lot counts, which are the 2 of the larger product types. Again, there were 4 previously, now there's only 3. The 2 largest are the Grand Estates and the Masterpiece lots. Those are 12,000 and 10,000 square foot minimum respectively on the site. They've removed the maintenance-free home product section, which was down here. And all the homes, none of the homes would include a maintenance-free option, so there wouldn't be that element in the plan any longer. No need to segregate the HOA to have one set of standards for an area and another set for the larger area of the homes. We've replaced those lots in this vicinity with the Masterpiece and the Grand Estates collection of lot types. So you see all that there. They're providing a tree buffer area on the rear and sides of select lots and additional tree preservation. I've got a zoom in that I'll show you in a minute of this area and how those areas where there's existing trees are to be developed. And the road configuration in the far northwest corner was modified. Previously, the street that went north-south along the west perimeter of the site is where the stub street was located. They've moved that over to the area closer to Fremont Moore Road, so we're preserving more trees in that area and we're developing that area in the same standards as we had contemplated for the lots along here, which would be developed with tree preservation remaining on individual lots as well as in common areas. The biggest change along Fremont Moore Road, previously there were alley fed and there were lots were gonna face, or homes were gonna face and service via alleys. Homes were gonna face Fremont Moore on both sides. And the modification that's been made to that would be now there's gonna be mounding, so it'll be 3 to 6 foot tall mounds with landscaping represent to the ordinance requirements on there. Several trees, both evergreen and deciduous trees, as well as shrubs will be planted along that entire length of Fremont Moore Road rather than an open area with houses facing it with only lot landscaping in front of those houses. That goes to somewhat of the character of the area rather than having those small lots all along the roadway visible immediately. This area would be well landscaped and bermed along Fremont Moore Road. There's also been some adjustments to the amenities with the inclusion of a playground amongst other things. Let's see. There we go. This is the plan that was presented at the public hearing. This is the revised plan. Again, on the old plan, you can see the substreet was over here in the wooded area. This was the pod of maintenance-free product. These were the 2 areas, the 2 alleys that had that narrow alley-fed product fronting directly on to Fremont Moore Road, which has been replaced by that ranch product. But again, it's turned internal to the site. Also on the revised plan, there's gonna be 2 locations, one here in the amenity facility, one over here, which would have a maintenance or a mail kiosk at that location. At the public hearing, we provided this example as well as a hand-sketched version of what was contemplated in terms of tree preservation, and this has been advanced and a little more engineering has gone on to this, and you can see as identified here, these would be the 10 lots that would be in that area north of that internal east-west collector road. And on the lots themselves, there will be additional tree preservation area, and then beyond that, between the two orange lines, there would be a supplemental area where trees would be preserved as lot development was proposed on each individual lot. So when a customer were to elect their home type, that would be positioned on the lot based upon the existing trees in that supplemental area, and the driveway positioned accordingly in an effort to preserve certain trees on that lot in that space. But previously, there was just tree preservation in a narrower band that would occur along the two perimeters of the site, east and west, and tree removed in those areas. So we're pulling drainage away from the rear yard. We're gonna convey drainage along the side yard up to the front, which is similar to what was done in this situation. This is an example from Chatham Hills, where this is an area that was all wooded down here. They removed the trees in that front yard setback, similar to what's done here for the roadway itself and the utility easement. And then as individual homes would be constructed on lots, you can see trees preserved along the side of the home and the rear yard. That's the similar situation that an effort that would take place on the lots that you see here. And if I go back, that standard would be applied, and this is the blow up I just showed you. It would be applied down here where there's existing trees, and then also in the area here where you see the crosshatch pattern. That's an area that includes trees also today. This is the amenity area. It includes a cabana and swimming pool, a pool deck overlooking the lake, lakeview seating in a couple different spots, the CBU mail kiosk, which I'll show you a detail of. There was an added play area. Before it was just a flex space and a fire pit. I think somebody asked, can we add additional amenities for families, children, things like, and we're adding a play area. There's 26 spaces for vehicles, cars, and then another 10 golf cart parking spaces. This shows you some details. All these are pulled into the ordinance, and it'll be staff's job to determine compliance when permits are sought for areas like the cabana, the play area, this mail kiosk, and this other element is a seating element that exists in another location further to the east right here. And then just an example of the multi-use path. We need to get that revised because there's not a concrete band along that when I look at that, I read concrete band adjacent to the asphalt, and it'll likely just be an asphalt path that exists on the site. This gives you an example of the branding for the community and where different signs will be located. The primary sign right here, B, identifies the smaller monument sign, and then just a little pillar, if you will, at the entrance to the amenity area, as well as our connection over here to the Lakes at Ironstone. Again, these are slides that were provided in our brochure. An example of the Grand Estates. Side load garages, 3 to 6 bedrooms, 31,000 square feet, 3,100 rather. This is the Masterpiece Collection. There's examples of this product type at Derby Ridge, at Ditch Road and 166th Street northeast quadrant. There's actually some just down the street from us too in Villages of Oak Manor. This product is currently being constructed at Chatham Hills near the example that we showed you, far northeast quadrant. of the community there that's still under development north of the golf course. This is the Designer 40 collection, those ranches. Is that also at Villages of Oak Manor? So the homes that are on the south side of the Midland, if you've been across that space, east of Gunther Boulevard, which is the connection to Kroger, on the south side there, these are the home product types that's in that little pod that exists within the Village of Oak Manor. Those are all the slides that we had in the update we have for you this evening. We wanted to get the commission's feedback on the adjustments that have been made and any other additional expectations or details or discussion before coming back to you for another workshop meeting in June. So with that, I'll conclude.
Commissioners,
John, can you go back to the overall development plan?
I'm gonna sit down for a second. I think I can point with the mouse. Yep. This is the updated plan.
Yeah, so for the detention pond on the east end of the property, is that because of the drainage shed break? And on the east, which I would back up to,
This here?
yeah, that one, no, one to the right, go to the right.
Yeah, the mouse is jumping around, but
Yeah, so is that pond located in that wooded area just because of how the drainage shed breaks in that area?
That's correct. There's an existing drainage line in that approximate location.
And that follows Hamilton County Surveyor's Office, staying within the drainage shed break and not breaking drainage sheds for drainage, correct, John?
yeah, I think this one here goes into that large ditch that's on the north side of Atwater and the development pond. The pond here will go south into the area that Pulte's currently got under construction.
further comments, questions from commissioners?
John, as far as the tree preservation in areas not previously, or not mentioned, so further to the south, along the south perimeter, and then kind of in between the wooded areas and stuff, what type of buffer is provided along the outside of those edges? Is that 20 or 30 feet?
It's 40.
40?
There'd be a minimum of 40 here and a minimum of 40 here, but that's to the closest side of the back lot. So if you see that dimension, that's a 40-foot dimension. It splays out a little bit, so it's probably between 50 and 55 feet. And then you've got another 15 to 20 feet on the back side of the lot, so there's about 65 to 70 feet along both sides there. The trees that exist are about in this rectangle that comes directly south, so that's a rectangle of existing trees. And then there's also an area of trees here on the plan that rides about that property line right there and comes south and over. So previously the only preservation was in the 40-foot band, and that's been expanded out onto the lot. It's approximately 60 feet and then wider in that corner. And then the backside of these lots will represent that area where homes are positioned after they do a survey of where trees are they want to save in side yards as well as in the backyard. One other comment that came up from the public was identifying that this area in here was predominantly wetland, and Grant Communities had engaged a consultant to take a look at that, and that consultant is currently in discussions with, is it Fish and Wildlife?
The Corps.
Army Corps of Engineers, because they didn't find evidence on the site that would define that space as wetlands, and they were trying to figure out what was a former condition that would have denoted the site as wetlands, rather than just there being an existing tree stand there. There would have had to been a site survey done, and so they're working with the Army Corps of Engineers now to have them confirm that it's not regulated wetland.
And going back to that pond on the east side there, it's gonna take more tree clearing to construct that pond than what you're showing there. You're familiar with the previous developer where that's become an issue. They showed approximately what was gonna have to be cleared to build the pond, and then they came back in and ended up clearing more trees. So if you could, when you come back to council, if you could address that concern and how trees are gonna be mitigated in that area, because the surveyor's office will probably want a 20, 30-foot easement all the way around the pond for pond access soon.
If that component is, it would depend on if that component is part of the regulated drain, and not just discharging into the regulated drain, but we'll provide an additional exhibit that is more descriptive of exactly what happens in that space. And in our discussions with Westfield Engineering, typically we look at the dash line represents the top of the bank. So like you said, there could be something just beyond that top of bank identified, but we'll take and blow up that space for that pond in particular, to give you a dimension.
Let's see, yeah, and then the 7 stubs on the other properties. One goes into the Hortonville development.
Yeah, this is Ironstone.
Yep.
This is an undeveloped parcel to the north. This is the Pulte development to the south. The one here goes into Reynolds. There's a 40-acre undeveloped site to the south before you get to 193rd. I believe Reynolds is also the owner here, and the property line break is somewhere in this vicinity. And then there's a third-party owner to the north, where this stub street intersects. And then to the north, there's another property owner to the north. So if in the future any of those pieces were to develop, and the reason we position the stubs where we have is because they serve different parcels of ownership. And it's anticipated that they might develop independently, but if and when they do, we can provide cross connectivity.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that many stubs on one development. And the main connector road from east to west that goes through there, there's kind of a vision that the community development kind of has envisioned for that road.
It is, if we had the lakes plat, you would see that that's a street that generally runs over to 6 Points. I don't wanna say unabated, but it generally a due east-west design. And then potentially, we're a half mile removed from Lamong. And in the future, if those pieces, Reynolds or others, were to develop, that stub street would intend to extend all the way over to Lamong Road. It's not a requirement in the ordinance, but you see one thing in particular about that roadway. It doesn't have a lot of homes and driveways intersecting it. So while it's not a defined collector road in terms of the ordinance, it provides a little bit additional capacity above and beyond what a standard typical local residential street would accommodate. We put the path there'll be an asphalt path on one side, sidewalk on the other, and the traffic calming elements at the intersections, as well as the boulevard entrance, all intended to slow traffic and enhance the pedestrian experience with that wider path.
Regarding Fremont Road, you'll be developing both sides of, or at least that whole segment of road where the development attaches to both sides of the development there. What about further to the south? We had talked about enhancing that and potentially providing a sidewalk.
We're still exploring the ability to enhance the pavement. The water utility is yet to obtain the easements for the water line that I think is likely to run on the west side. That would be across Reynolds. And before we get back to the plan commission at the next workshop, we'll have a definitive position on exactly what we can accomplish on that segment between us. It's about a quarter mile between our south perimeter. Actually, when I say south perimeter, it's a quarter mile from here. So we add a little bit more, probably going on not quite 3/4, but maybe 7/10 of a mile from this location here all the way south, up to 193rd Street.
All my questions for now.
Dr. King, question probably for staff. This is kind of a hypothetical maybe, but I'm curious. I like this development. I think the changes have been well done. I just over the weekend heard about the fact that Indiana has now climbed to #1 in foreclosures. So I'm a veteran of the late 2000s crash and all these things have been approved, and some of these we've dealt with in the past couple of years of those approvals then coming back now. And Fisher's a good builder. But my question is, we approve this, and something happens, and it changes hands down the road, and then it comes back to a future APC. Is the approval we give here the baseline for the new one, so that it can't be a cheaper rendition? Because these are high quality product here, and I would like to make sure that any future commission has to deal with high quality, not.
No,
Is that, am I correct with that assumption?
Yeah, basically, yes, the zoning will stay with the land regardless of who the owner builder is, right? So if, you know, Fisher ends up walking away and another builder comes in, I mean, these are the standards that a future home builder would need to build to. If they can't do that or wanna do something different, then they would come back through and do an amendment process. Otherwise, if they can build to these standards, then they can build, right? They can plat, they can pull permits, and wouldn't need to come back to the planning commission
Okay.
for any sort of amendment. It's not really builder specific. I know we do put those sorts of exhibits into our PUDs, but it's really to determine character and quality benchmarks, not so much you know, specific home collections, right, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
Because this will live on past whomever the owner and builder is.
John, the houses on both sides of Fremont Moore, you mentioned you're going from the alley loaded to the designer 40. So that is going to reorient the home to where the rear of the home will now be seen from Fremont Moore, is that correct?
Beyond berm, 3 to 6 foot tall berm with landscaping.
Yeah, and then obviously the preservation is, but punchline is we're flipping the houses down those orientations, correct? And then you also mentioned that you're putting in the ranch story, or the ranch product, right? I've always viewed ranch as, 1 to 1.5 stories, if that's an accurate statement. The initial PUD, and obviously we haven't seen any changes yet, had minimum or maximum height is 2.5 stories. Do you anticipate putting some conformity there
Yes.
in the PUD? Okay. And then, one more time, you're saying, so obviously there's drainage easement, there's preservation easement, where do you see the berms living? Are they closer to Homestead, are they closer to road? Like within the easement, what does that look like?
So we have to dedicate approximately a 45-foot half. So if you picture from the center line of the road today, outside at the back side of that 45 feet, approximately there'll be 25 feet of green, and then there'll be an 8-foot asphalt path, and then we're at the back side of the 45 feet. And the next 30 feet is where the berm will live. So we've got from the center line outside 75 feet, and we've got another 20-foot rear yard where drainage will take place, and then the closest home. So you're looking at about roughly 95 to 100 feet from center line is the closest dwelling.
Okay. And then, again, I view this, actually, let me make sure I say this correctly, sorry. Yeah, area C is kind of how I'm still viewing the designer 40 homes, right? So the previous iteration, which was I think area D, just to confirm, it had a front yard setback of 10, rear yard of 20. Obviously, front yard was road facing, now it's rear yard. Assuming you're sticking with the area C 20 and 20?
Yep.
Okay, perfect, thank you. I'm good.
Further questions, comments, commissioners?
Yeah,
Councilor McCarty.
just sort of thinking out loud, first I wanna start with the positives. I do appreciate the changes thus far. At least shows that you're listening to the conversation, that's again always appreciated. But then kind of diving into, or dabbling into all the topics that have already been discussed. I do agree with my fellow counselor that far east lot, at least in my opinion, a little, east pond, next to area B there, off of that extension from the Pulte development. It's just a little problematic because you're removing additional trees from that, so that just kind of goes into the overall discussion. Today we received an email from neighboring residents on Fremont Moore Road, and over 50 signatures thus far being against not just, I would say, this proposal, but sprawl continuing out to Fremont, Lamar, 206, and so forth. So of course, that's something that I'm always considering, whether it be past projects, future projects, current projects, is where do current residents in the area stand on continued development? Because we are the ones that have to live through the construction and then just the continued traffic and so forth. So in regards to Fremont Moore Road, with just this little section seeing potential road improvement with the entrance into this development, I could foresee it being similar to Fremont Moore Road being the new 6 Points, where on 6 Points, you have improvements once you get past the T intersection at 206. But then when you're at 206, because of the private individual, I wouldn't say because rightfully so, it's their property, but at the T intersection of 206, I mean, it is atrocious. Same way at Casey Road in 206, same way at Fremont Road in 206. So the point being that all the additional traffic that we've had to endure out in the Northwest, it just keeps on stacking on top of each other, and it's difficult to keep up with all the infrastructure improvements. Also in regards to the wooded lot here on the east side, that's about roughly 20 or so acres, and you have about 1 lot per acre, so 20 lots in that vicinity. Down Eagletown Road, there is a similar parcel that's wooded, and there's 2 lots on 10 acres. So you double that, and that'd be 4 lots. So again, the precedent that is already established out in this way, of course, is the larger acre homes. And that's always been just a philosophical conversation of, as we continue out in the Northwest, you know, what do necessarily the transitions or future neighborhoods look like? So the point being, just philosophical wise, do we continue to sprawl outwards? But again, want to iterate that I do appreciate the changes that made thus far. So thank you.
So I just have a question, is the pond necessary in that area? You've got 3, it is absolutely.
Because there's a break in the drainage that we have to pick up the area to the far northwest corner, or excuse me, rather, northeast corner, and we can't push it against grade, correct me where I'm wrong.
That's correct.
So otherwise, we would just make the pond central to the site larger.
Yeah,
And we can take a longer look at that and see if the powers that be might let us rob Peter to pay Paul.
no, but if you just left the trees there, it seems like it, and not disturbed them, you've got the other retaining pond, so I'm not an engineer, but.
Well, it's a matter of pulling, if you see where it says area A at the far top right of the
Right.
page, that area, the water that hits that area goes south and
So it's
east,
going into that pond,
and it doesn't go west.
okay,
So if there's a break in the drainage where the water goes this way today and it goes that way, and we're obligated to pick it up before it gets off this site and both detain it and treat it. And that's the point at that south, as you get to the far southeast corner of the site, that's the point where we connect to the closest point where the existing legal drain is.
okay, well, you definitely need drainage, but I guess you save the trees to save the trees, but you need drainage too, so it's kind of a catch-22, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, alright, and then let me ask about, so what Kurt said about all the stub roads, the one between area A and area B, is that one completely necessary?
Right here.
No, down at the bottom,
So
go out to the west,
All the way to the west.
West side.
Yeah.
This one?
nope,
Further
keep going,
west. The most west.
Keep
One
going.
more down.
This one.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
Um,
one.
I
See, there's so many stub roads.
I wouldn't tell you it's absolutely necessary, but I will tell you that it's something that staff had asked for because
Oh.
of the position of the ownerships on our west.
Okay,
There's a break between those 2 stubs, and
Okay.
they wanna see, in all likelihood, if that owner to the west were to sell their property for development, they wanna see the connection take place.
Yeah, not
okay, it's
only.
really an owner thing, not
Well,
like
that's
a,
part of it. I
yeah.
think the other part of it for me at least is in looking at what the place type is for this area on the comp plan. It's village neighborhood, which has more connectivity, more grid-like street network, and the more of that we are providing, more opportunity that we're providing to connect further, I mean, really in all directions, I think better aligns with the comp plan.
okay. Makes sense, just, thank you.
And so if I can, I'm not piggybacking off what Kevin said, but I wanted to, you jumped in, which is fine.
Right.
And I wanna go back to Mr. McCarty's comments and call to the planning commission's attention. It should have been sent out earlier today. It was a petition from signed by some residents who live generally in that area. If I can go, so this is our site, this is a map of the area. I would say generally speaking, the folks who signed the petition live in this space right here up to 216th. A couple were 216th, which is another. This is a half mile, then we're a mile to 211th. We're a mile and a half up to 216th Street. So this was the general vicinity of those people who had signed the petition. I'm reporting news, not making it. This is our site on the place type map. This is the area that will be Lamong. It's in pink. This is the description the director just provided of that village neighborhood. So as you get from Fremont Moore Road further west, the intensity of development closer to those two pink squares, if you will, is going to increase. The two pink squares, as well as the area that's identified as village neighborhood, talk about attached residential. They talk about multi-story buildings. They talk about the potential for there being attached product, multifamily even in the areas that are pink, but higher intensity. And the area in yellow here, in the light yellow, that's the lakes at Ironstone. This is Atwater. This is Osborne Trails. Those neighborhoods that are identified in yellow that represent the existing traditional residential, those neighborhoods run, I would say, between 2.5 and 3.5 homes per acre. So to put things in perspective, if we were to be consistent with a couple of those, and Osborne's probably even a little higher than that. But if we were to be consistent with Atwater, which I'm not suggesting that we should be, but that's an area in that yellow space. We would have to add another 110 houses to this plan. If we're yellow to yellow, right? But
Yeah.
we went to the public hearing, we heard what people had to say, we said we need to do some things to address it. Because there's a large bandwidth in that space that is the yellow, the darker yellow and the lighter yellow. And we're dialing it down. We're not gonna have alley-fed narrow lots facing Fremont Moore because that is a character change. That we're gonna have mounding and landscaping and homes that back to that space, which is not as significant a transition from what might exist along that space today. Not that it's not permitted, but I'm just calling your attention. I did read through, and our client has read through the petition that was sent. There's just a couple things, and and I apologize if it appears that I'm cherry picking. I just want to identify a couple things. This is item 3, expansion into an area not previously developed at similar density. Significant departure from the existing patterns of development. And if that were the litmus test, there wouldn't be houses in Washington Township outside of a mile on either side of downtown, because everything was ag. 1980, the population was probably around 5,000 people, and today we're wherever we are. But if that was the litmus test and I acknowledge and I observe that the comprehensive plan has changed. These are the maps, and everyone knows probably more than I do about all those place type maps and how they reflect the decision of the community in terms of future growth. And the one takeaway I would take from this, respectively, and others might differ, is that the community has sent a message that Westfield is gonna grow residentially from where it exists today at Ironwood and Atwater west on over to Lamong Road. And potential exists that there would be increased intensity from what exists today as you get over to Lamong Road. So if I'm wrong, then I can be wrong, and that's okay. But that's just my 10,000 foot view of what the message has been through the adoption of the comp plan. And everyone has their own opinion and they're entitled to it, but I have reservations sometimes about people leaving thinking that because someone said it, it's fact. And I just think I would welcome a discussion about the comp plan amongst everyone on the plan commission to get their thoughts on it so that we weren't willfully going in the wrong direction if we were off base. So, thank you.
Two things. One, going back to the prior conversation just real quickly, in regards to stub streets, you kind of are darn if you do, darn if you don't, because the Finley Creek Estates, I think it was 60 Pulte lots to the south there, that was initially, as it came through the process, envisioned as a cul-de-sac, and now it's gonna be a continue through potentially to this development. So again, it most likely probably be better to just have that stub street instead of getting into a potential new residents' heads, oh, that's always going to be cul-de-sac there. No, it's now gonna be a extended street. So again, just darn if you don't with those extended stub streets. Going now to the conversation that just occurred, respectfully, everything that was just mentioned is incredibly scary to the residents out here. And whether it be the 50 residents that have signed that petition or the residents that reach out during the comp plan process, so on and so forth, that is essentially why I voted no to the comp plan, because the existing residents out there, they just feel disregarded, shall I say. That they would very much so, and I know not just them, but others in the area would prefer to have the past comp plan, which was larger lots as we moved out to Northwest, not just Northwest, but the Southwest as well. So again, that's why I just generally mention it's more of a philosophical conversation amongst us, and we are not just the city plan commission, but the overall township plan commission. That's something to John's point, for us to discuss both here at planning commission and council, just how we continue to grow and develop through the years.
Mr. Bunkfist, then Mr. Khan.
Mr. Khan can go first.
Mr. Khan, the floor is yours.
I kinda wanted to hear what Billy was gonna say.
I already went. I have to wait for seconds on the back end.
Yeah.
So in terms of philosophy, you know, I will say that the comp plan is the direction. The city has spent a considerable amount of time, effort, and energy to have a new comp plan, and from my understanding, unless I'm corrected, of course, that is the guiding light for us all. I think that you guys have done a good job in listening to, you know, the feedback that has been given. I find it always a frustrating matter when people say, you know, we just don't want it here, it's gonna clear trees, because somebody cleared trees for their house when they, you know, originally moved there, and now, you know, unfortunately, the city is going to grow one way or another, but we just have to decide how well it grows. And just like I can't, you know, dictate to those landowners what they can do with their land, you know, I feel that we also can't do that for the people who sold their land. And so to me, I was looking to see, had you listened to anything or changed anything, and I think that you have with this. I like the quality of product that's gonna go here. I like the thoughtfulness that's put into the residents that will live there. I actually like the amenities, you know, that you guys have put there. So I think that there's a good amount of thought. I'm open to, you know, any more like tweaks and a couple of changes should we decide down the road. But I think overall, from my opinion, humbly, you know, respectfully, I think that it's definitely going in the right direction. And aside from just, you know, should there be some small minor changes, I think that you guys have done a great job with this.
Dr. Keen.
You know, there are a lot of single-family homes out in this area that are gonna prevent some large developments. But when Reynolds decides, or the family decides to do something, that's an awful lot of farmland. It can go on. So what I feel like, in trying to meld the old comp plan, the new comp plan, this development, to me, sets the standard for my judgment of the next one has to be as good as, if not better than this one. So this is not continuing what was east of here. This is actually, I think, good improvements in that area so that we keep upping the quality and upping the ante as opposed to just more development. So, you know, I'm satisfied. I mean, I don't know how long it's gonna take for this to sell, but I'm living in the days when $250,000 homes were expensive, so. You know, that perspective is awful little bit, but I think this just sets a new standard for westward movement that raises the bar for everybody coming after it. So,
Mr. Bunkvis.
Echoing Dr. Keene's sentiment of this setting the precedent, the one thing that caught my eye, and I think Councilor Wanager obviously mentioned it, I think everybody did, but is just the tree overlays that you have, the tree preservation overlays, or the tree stands, I believe is they're directly called out in the comprehensive plan. Really interesting paradox that this is the first development we're seeing within the comprehensive plan update, and then we're told to preserve those essentially at all costs internal to the actual comprehensive plan, right? So I know you've worked to incorporate, which is what it calls for, but just more of an open-ended question of really stare at the incorporation side versus what can we leave in place? Because I think, you know, John, you're really good at what you do, right? And a year from now, you're gonna come back with another tree overlay area where the precedent was set by how we handled this one, right? And so just thinking through the unique factors that, yeah, I agree, this completely jives with the comprehensive plan, maybe not fully on the actual tree stand overlay, and that's just more open feedback, not expecting a response or anything.
Thank you. If I might, Dr. Keene's comment about enhancement of just 1 second. As a matter of observation, again, the development to our east, Atwater in particular, Atwater is a community that was approved about 6 years ago, plus or minus, and it incorporates the use of vinyl siding and masonry requirements that are much less than what this is. The home sizes and the development standards in this ordinance are higher in terms of lot sizes and in particular architecture. Within this community, vinyl siding is prohibited and masonry is a feature that's required on all 4 sides of every home. So there's a base band at a minimum up to the first floor windows on all homes within the development, which is something that the Plan Commission is newer to see that in the last 12 to 18 months or so. Windows and overhang requirements as well as roof pitch and garages. Are also incorporated into the ordinance as well as design requirements for front, side and rear as well as streetscape diversity. So all those are things that speak to Dr. Keene's comment about elevating the game, if you will, on developments that already have occurred to our east.
As we round this out, I wanna echo the comments made by Mr. Khan in relation to the comprehensive plan. I know we're gonna have a robust discussion about that here next with Cynthia and the team. What I would say is that Mr. Khan is exactly correct in that this document becomes that guiding light that replaced the last comprehensive plan, and we've had that conversation before. But it puts in perspective that this is a general direction and not necessarily 100% prescriptive. And I wanna, for those that are listening online or those that are in the room related to the 50 or so folks that have signed petitions here, I understand and get that, and I'm incredibly grateful for those that have chosen to voice their concerns to this commission. That's exactly the process that should occur. It gives us as commissioners the ability to kind of see what's going on around us. But also, and I'm a township appointee, so I try to give extra thought to township questions as Councilor McCarty has noted that that's what we are. And in that, and not that I'm the only one that does that, of course, Councilor McCarty does all the time. And so, but I try to keep an extra thought to that. But what I would say is that I'm glad that this comparison is here. It shows the general direction of where the North and West is headed in the next iteration of our city and of the township. But what it also speaks to is, just as when we voted on this, that it's not incredibly prescriptive, we're seeing the developer come back and decrease the density based on a number of factors. One of those is feedback of this commission. You know, we're not gonna go to the 2 and 3 acre, you know, that's just not what's contemplated here. But how can we try to bridge that gap as best as possible? I think these are the type of projects, exactly what is contemplated when we talk about this comprehensive plan in this region. And so I'm incredibly thankful for the changes. I'm always I'm always very happy about developers when they ask questions, listen, incorporate what they can. And so for me, this is a good project that continues to go to the north and to the west. And I know that there are, as Councilor McCarty and I talk about all the time, those philosophical positions. And everyone has a right to have one, voice one, vote for one, not vote for one. But for me, and I think as we'll probably hear from our friends with Cynthia and the team here in a little bit, you know, how to understand, how to implement, how to kind of move this in that direction, not just specific to this project, but for those in the future, as you know, as Mr. Dobashewitz has even noted, that what's going on to the east and what's going to continue to go on to the north and to the west. And so that's generally my position. And I'm very thankful for all the incorporation of changes. I agree with Mr. Blunkvist on, you know, everything we can continue to do on tree preservation, thoughts through that, being thoughtful in that. I think you've taken a great step towards that with what you've done, and I'm sure you'll look at further as you get to the next workshop. Any other items from our commissioners before we let these folks go for the evening? Seeing and hearing none. So we will see you at the next, oh, sorry, do you need to clean up or close? Okay, I wanna make sure.
I was
You do
I
that
couldn't
well.
see. Stephanie was like this, so I was
Oh,
just-
sorry.
I'll scoot out of the way.
That was a statement I wasn't looking for,
Nope,
but you're welcome to say anything you wish.
No, thank you.
Otherwise,
Yeah,
recap.
I'll give a quick, so there was a lot of discussion, right, a lot of questions, I think. As I was sitting here, I feel like a lot of things were addressed or, I don't wanna say resolved, but at least addressed. So I really only took notes of the things that I thought there might still be outstanding question or potential, look into these things before we come back, John. So what I have on my list, one you noted, update the asphalt path graphic to remove the concrete band. And then next one, what are the planned improvements for Fremont Moore, south, I think specifically from this project south. I feel like a little bit of unresolved discussion on, is the easternmost pond needed, or maybe even is it needed in its current size? Maybe could it be reduced? I don't know if that would help. And then really the last one is, how can this get even closer to meeting the tree stand overlay expectations of the comp plan? Did I miss anything that wasn't answered or adequately answered by the petitioner?
Alright, seeing you none. Thank you all very much for your time. We'll see you back at
Thank you. Thank you.
next one. Moving seamlessly into conversations about the comp plan. Yeah, that was very good. We will move into a training portion, give the opportunity for REA, as you all will know, what are
Have a great night.
the consultants related to our comp plan. And Cynthia Bowen will give us a presentation related to that. Hello, and good evening.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
So soon.
So
I know.
you got a handful of stuff. What are you gonna do with all that?
I'm gonna pass it out. This I'm gonna plug in.
Thank you very much.
You should know that tonight is my birthday, so
Happy
I'm
birthday.
spending it with you all.
Fire through, let's go.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Instead of what? What
Yeah,
was
I
the
might
other
have to
option?
stop at Dairy
Hey,
Queen.
didn't you bring
Yeah,
everything?
that's what I'm doing.
Birthday frozen cake.
Oh, that's for ice cream? That's-
Yes.
That's fun. We'll call those on the way home, maybe.
Maybe if I can get this out. Thank you.
think ice cream is the reason I can never go.
Hey Ryan, could you maybe help me get this up so I can plug in?
Yeah.
What's your flavor? What's your flavor?
Last time I had it and it worked just fine, but
Clearly.
Just gotta pry it up.
It's completely ignoring
Get in there.
That's my new thing.
That's awesome.
When it comes to this kind of thing,
What's going on in this town in there?
yeah.
I have a German chocolate, he's in Green Township, so I'm gonna be
German chocolate ice cream.
Okay.
I just have to prepare it for the.
I understand.
I have to be with.
Cynthia,
Do
you need to connect your computer for a presentation.
I still have it, I'll still have it.
yes, I need it for the presentation. Okay.
That's just for the power.
Okay.
The German chocolate one's a little bit.
But then I also
Ryan's
like
having
Rita's
trouble, too.
frozen custard, the other one.
I don't know, will the
I
thing,
like,
the power strip in the center
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
like that style
Stretch.
ice cream.
I have a good cook my watch.
let's see. Might,
Are you trying to locate a?
oh, did you get it?
Yeah. It's a little pin trick.
For HDMI or
DoorDash waiting.
power?
Oh, no power, I think.
Inside of.
Can't guarantee those plugs.
This is the,
Don't need a dongle?
I have to get my wife Dairy Queen because one of my kids melted down as I tried to walk on.
Oh.
Two of the three, the twins.
We,
So I owe her.
our 1-year-old we thought was like teething and stuff, and he had to check it for everything. He's been a little under the weather, for him to check and
Hey Chris, can you hear me?
Might be my fault. I was sick like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I remember you said.
Sick when I was.
Cynthia needs to connect her laptop.
Yeah.
Could you remind
Friday,
me
I
/us
was
how to
feeling
get her
better
computer
Friday.
showing on the monitor,
Friday
please?
evening, in the face.
Yeah, on the back wall,
Yeah.
where the panel is to turn on the screen, there should be one that says HDMI input.
Here, Don.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, John.
So much.
This segment that you guys are going to, now it's recorded, so if I wanted to, I could just listen.
Absolutely.
It's a closed door
Provide any
meeting.
feedback you have.
It's a closed door meeting.
That's fine. You know, I feel tempted to.
More open dialogue.
You could probably present on this by now, at this point,
Yeah,
right?
you just kinda did.
okay, there we go.
Alright. Oh no, it's
Wow, I saw that.
I saw that too, there was closed captioning from what I was saying.
Yeah, I saw that
That's
too,
not-
I was
that's
like,
not-
wait,
That's not
So fancy.
I really gotta leave.
Go back and delete that.
You're all being recorded.
okay, so I'm gonna try to keep this to 45 minutes. We do have 4 scenarios to go through. None of these scenarios, all these scenarios are made up, but one tonight may be similar to one you just discussed, ironically. But what I wanna do is talk about the Westfield plan at a glance, the legal role here in Indiana, the decision-making framework that you should be using when looking at the comprehensive plan. I wanna walk through some interactive scenarios, then I will talk about plan anchored motions, some common pitfalls to avoid, and then answer any questions. But I would rather this like to be a dialogue instead of me standing up here telling you everything that's in here and what to do. You guys ask me questions. So I want you to take a moment, and you might have already some of you might have already done this. Think of a development decision that you had in Westfield that had a lasting impact on your neighborhood. In a positive way, or maybe a negative way. And we don't have to share, but think about that. Was the outcome what you really expected after you had the conversation in here as part of the plan commission? And then when it was built, was it something different? So think about that as we go through this. Cause that is really what this plan is about, thinking about the future and making the decisions. You know, having the conversations that you just had now about how development's gonna look, how development's gonna feel, what amenities need to be in there, how it's gonna be connected to other developments.
Yeah, Cynthia, I need you to pause for a moment, we have an
Oh, yes.
online issue. This says that Chris is trying to talk to us, but also that the presentation is not showing online, just the agenda. I assume it's because we
shared the wrong
switched
screen.
inputs or shared the wrong screen. Chris, can you?
How's that?
No, he won't be able to. Are you able to escape out of this, Ryan?
I got no control anymore. It's
Yeah, I can escape out of it, yes.
Ooh, trains.
Oh, it's,
I see.
I switched it back. Chris, can you hear us now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so here's what happens when she connects to her machine. We can actually hear her, we just can't see her screen, neither can anybody on the stream, and then you guys cannot hear us. Because it's now taking all audio and microphone and everything from her machine.
Can you just
So,
email to Kevin?
is it possible that you just join the meeting on your computer and then share your screen on the computer instead of switching to your computer?
So
Thumb drive.
are you able to,
I
well,
can put it on a
That's-
thumb drive.
Thumb drive's the
That's
quickest
one
way to do
option.
it.
Yeah, that'd be the best, and I can just put into.
or you can join the meeting, the Teams meeting on your computer.
He was saying if you join the Teams meeting, you can share your screen.
Can someone,
Yeah.
Chris, can you email me the Teams meeting?
Of course.
Dude, 85 degrees, I'm sweating.
There's that awesome part of this stream now that's just me going, hello, can you hear me? Hello?
We're blacked out.
Very casual of you.
Somehow 6 years deep into virtual meetings, we still
Oh, we'll never
haven't
get it.
still
We
haven't
will
quite
never
figured
get
it out yet.
Switch to Sprint.
Streaming
Over there
Oh, is anyone there? You're actually dead, but you don't know you're dead.
Yeah, it's like, it's like our
Did I
version,
die?
it's our version of Inception.
Oh, don't worry, Chris. I could hear you virtually on my computer the whole time, so I had you.
Thanks, Mooney.
Who am I sending this to?
Just from
Yeah.
their
cbowen@rea.site,
No, REAsite.com.
reasite.com, sorry.
Bowen at
I don't know if I do or not.
Spell that for me one more time.
You should have.
C Bowen,
Get it right.
Big fan things.
BOWEN at REASITE.com.
Kevin's still trying to figure out, did I actually turn the air on? It feels like you did.
Okay. Maybe there's a hint of coolness in the air.
There's a slight breeze.
Alright, that's something.
Is it warm on those?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
pretty hot over here. It's all the hot air. We're doing all the
Flash
talking
drive,
in
it
here.
may be easier
Fair
to
enough.
do that.
I did send it, but it takes a minute.
Just know that my wife will kill me if I don't bring her Dairy Queen because it's closed, so
Close at 9.
please keep it, no, I think it's 9:30, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, especially if I wanna stop by there and get a frozen
What
cake
about-
for
Let's
myself.
just, how about
Is it-
8:30 or
I mean,
bust?
no disrespect to Dairy Queen, but like, is Grader still open?
Is it? That's a good point. My wife asks for something very
Here we go.
specific, Choco Brownie Extreme was her.
Bottom one,
Yeah.
very
I'm
bottom.
about to do that myself.
There you go.
Grader's just open till.
I've done that once and it was like half melted when it got there.
There we go.
So I gotta pick it up, turn the air on and run.
It's your Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
It melts immediately.
I got to witness people trying graders for the first time this weekend. That was incredible.
Have you guys? Are we still good, Chris?
Chris?
Have you guys been tracking that they?
We're good, thank you guys, so sorry about that.
Oh, thank you.
Disgusting.
Did you
All
try
right.
it?
With that,
I assumed it's gross.
we're gonna
Back in
continue our
session.
presentation forward.
Okay, can someone adjust the slide, or hand me something so I can adjust the slides?
Yeah, so let me see.
Maybe say next. Yeah, that's what I'll
So
do.
keyboard works.
Okay, I can take it,
I
that's
can
fine.
set this, you
Can you go
can either
put
do
this
it
in
by
there for
cue
her?
or you can take it.
I
Hold
can
on,
take it.
I think I have this. Oh my god.
It looks like the Men in Black thing.
Yes,
There's
stare
the
with laser
USB.
pointer. There you
The
go.
laser pointer, I don't know.
Right,
TV.
anyone puts us in charge
It's,
of
oh,
it.
it's a TV, not a screen. You're right.
Yeah, the TV just absorbs it.
Let's see if we have a USB.
But if this
Please hold.
technical difficulties,
That'll be good though.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Why'd you
Yeah.
shut it down?
What?
You just shut off the whole meeting.
I didn't even
We
touch
are-
it.
Alright guys, it's been nice.
Hit cancel, maybe.
Yeah, abort, they canceled,
No,
too late, you didn't get
not
there in
fast
time.
enough.
So
Alright, we are in recess.
We're adjourned. I wanna say this is my fault.
Well, shut down.
There's not even a power.
Alright, so we are highly.
I'm pointing my laser at it. Oh,
I'm going to join and let Chris
You're
know.
not-
That's crazy.
God,
My
I
wife
was
hates me
like,
except
I
for
could go
one.
back to joining the meeting with my computer and.
I mean, it's 45-minute presentations.
I just.
I know.
It's a
And
whole,
you knew that.
Yeah,
our
right.
computer lost
We just
power
shut it
here.
They should still be here.
They should be in the meeting, we just left it, right?
I
used to-
I don't know.
Yeah, are we a member of the?
I definitely do that. Should we be recording to show that nothing actually
I'm
happens?
joining right
Yeah,
now.
Dr. Keen, good call.
I'm
So-
texting.
He's leaving.
It's always kind of
Yeah.
It's, we're gonna come back on camera and it's
What do you
gonna
have
be
to hand me
thin.
this?
Please write the record.
Let's see, one,
Let me call Chris real quick.
Is this, was it this? I gave the computer a virus? I tried.
Okay, so, yeah, I'll need to,
Alright.
or I may just say
Thank you,
next
sir.
and.
Everybody's
That's
waiting
fine.
with bated breath on the other one.
Well, you all have a copy of the
What's going on?
presentation, but
There is no
yeah,
PowerPoint.
It's
online.
not the same though,
I
it's not
know.
you presenting.
Okay, great, sorry, my sound was off.
did.
It lacks the spectacle to shut off here in city services.
But I do have a question for you. So I've been trying to get as
Wait
much
till
of
that
yours
huge thing is
for
built, that's gonna be so badass.
the
Proceed forward. Michael, are we going
the
to?
new plans for the
Yeah.
Or are we going to
at Keystone
try
Crossing?
to?
We don't
Oh,
do
Say, you
okay,
know what,
yes.
we're part of
Give
that
this
start.
to my card to them, I would like to
that
get
later
the
this
plan.
summer.
Yeah.
And I talked to a couple people and it was, they were being redesigned and then literally I don't even know who to talk to.
Yeah, Carl Kincaid.
But I
Yeah.
think I
Give this-
left him a message actually.
But if our technology is not in a place
Hey,
where
Josh,
we
I
can
can
do
answer
about
these.
it.
Yes,
No,
I will do
I'll
that.
go back there to try.
We're
No problem.
not gonna do it anymore.
I think we're making progress.
So,
I
I don't know if
plan,
about next,
It's
I
like,
think
no,
I've
you
passed
plan.
or
They
what as
come,
we were
you
trying to
tell
switch
them.
over
Yeah.
different things.
I,
There's no signal detected
I wanna be here.
right
Clear
now.
against this and stuff, but it's not the right spot, we're gonna put you over here.
I mean, I think it's
I
cool,
agree.
you guys put so much work
You
and
gotta
time
have a
and effort
plan
into this.
for the city.
It's very cool.
It is, right,
Yes.
it's all.
Yeah.
Well, I
is
wanted.
Chris on there?
Exactly,
Especially
that's what
I
happens,
had
and
no
then you
idea.
also
Chris have
have
any words of wisdom?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Actually,
I turned an asset development happening.
There was a power button, huh?
It's just all
So it's
your
kind
name
of,
all trying to figure it out.
right,
What you
But
want.
we're-
so it's actually
10,000
perfect timing.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Kurt said to me,
Right.
he looked at, he saw
Oh,
my
yeah,
shoulders,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm like,
Alright.
make it.
I know, yeah.
If we
someone
get
doesn't want it.
Chris, it's back on.
Alright, we are, computer's back on and we are going to sign back in.
I still wanna know who turned it off.
You want a remote in, Chris, or not?
The thumb drive was touching.
Okay, perfect.
It's a really
Do you
bad
wanna
configuration.
sign in?
Picture this as like the power button. The thumb drive arm was like
Okay,
this.
No.
It was really a silly configuration
I'll get you.
of the system.
So Mike, how are your
Somebody
babies?
should write a letter to
They're
HP,
great.
Are they?
They were totally melting
Growing?
down on my way here,
which is why he owes ice cream.
which is why I owe ice cream.
Triple
And I-
Oh.
I don't know that you do, but yeah,
No.
I think a round of Dairy Queen
It's
is,
not on you, Chris,
due.
don't worry.
Yeah.
You did all the landscaping for Legend
Give the
Crossing.
professor 5 more
Yeah.
minutes and
And
I'm
built
outta here.
that dang berry.
That's how it is.
No, that's only if they don't
Middle
show
of
up
winter.
after 15 minutes, you're allowed to
Like my
leave.
guys had mud up to here. But it's there, and it works.
I won't-
No
I
cars
won't
are
go.
going in that pond.
I think it's hot.
Or,
But I might have to go by and check out Reavers too, that sounds like a really good idea.
Who's the councilman that represents my area?
Joe.
On one, like, so Westfield, one that
I don't know why I haven't brought this out.
Joe,
in chat.
Joe, dude.
Can you see it on the screen? No, she's right.
Yeah, you can't see it, it
Devastating.
absorbs it.
If I go really fast, like in that general area right there.
Am I getting there?
are outdated with all the technology we have today.
Just want a projector screen, it's all I'm asking. This would crush at City
I
Hall.
can do that.
It would, yeah, that's right.
Public
You would
hearing.
rule the roost in City Hall.
Can I, what if I like hit the camera with it, is it bad? You
Let's
guys
see
seen
what-
those green I bought a green laser not realizing just how strong they are. It's insane. From Aberdeen, I could put it on, formerly known as.
Alright, is the presentation still on the machine or?
Yeah, it's in the
I would be
USB.
afraid to find out.
It should be in the USB.
Shut it off
We did
again,
not
I'm going
touch it.
home.
The USB still in there.
I think go down a little more.
Go to the US, yeah.
Yeah, there you
It's
go.
the bottom one, guiding Westfield future, yep.
Right.
Good title.
Okay. With that, we are calling this meeting back to order. Please let the record reflect that Dr. Keen has escaped.
Okay, Ryan, can you go in a couple of slides to the comprehensive plan versus zoning code? There you go. Okay, so one of the things that I always like to talk about is what is the relationship between the comprehensive plan and the zoning code? And what is the difference between the two of them? So the comprehensive plan, as we've talked about for the last 2 years, sets the long-range goal and vision for the community. It is an advisory document, it's policy for the city and how the city should develop over the next 20 years. But I will tell you, it is not set in stone. There could be certain conditions where you may wanna have an applicant come in and amend the place types map because the development is of a quality nature, is of a type that's maybe not being offered here in Westfield. So we have a future place types map with this. The horizon is 20+ years, and again, it is the foundation by which you will make all of your decisions in accordance with state law. Now, the zoning code, it's really what implements the comprehensive plan. It regulates the day in and day out of what people can do, what uses they can have on their property, what standards they have to develop their site to. While we have suggestions in the comprehensive plan, the zoning ordinance is what implements those design standards. So right now, we're in a situation where the current zoning code does not completely reflect what we're doing in the comprehensive plan. What you do under zoning is legally binding. So if someone wanted to modify that, they would have to come in and get a variance. The map that we use, the zoning map, it is a current map of what current development or current zoning is going to be for that parcel, what is permitted and allowed right now. And so it sets what is permitted, what we call by right. Meaning, if someone came in and put together a set of plans, had the exact zoning district, and matched those particular zoning regulations, they could be free to come in and go forth and build their subdivision as long as it's consistent with the zoning. Does that make sense? So the zoning is what implements the comprehensive plan. So Westfield's comprehensive plan, next. So we adopted it here this year, 2026. I've already talked about the vision. We have 8 chapters in it. There are 18 different place types. And so this is gonna be new for you all, is having these different place types and referring to those and working with developers to make sure that their development fits within those place types. Then there is over 100 goals and policies within the plan. Now, why that is important is that when you as Plan Commission members make your decisions, you need to tie it back to the comprehensive plan. So you're gonna tie it back to both these place types as well as some of the goals and policies that are in the plan. So the hierarchy of the plan is that we have 5 themes: economic development, housing, quality of place, transportation, and utilities. Kind of nestled in those are the place types. Then beyond the place types, which is, if you want to think about your future land use map, that's what the place type map is. Then there's a series of policies and actions for you as the Plan Commission, the council, or the staff to take in order to implement that comprehensive plan under the implementation section here. So the place types map is going to be your most important tool when reviewing any of your packets and it coming before you. The place type map shows the development pattern, where various land uses could go, areas that you've already discussed tonight about protection and conservation, how to transition between the different uses, where might be priority areas for infill and growth, and thereby lining up your infrastructure with that. And then what particular corridors have specific development expectations. So right here, you see the full 18 place types that we have here. We have the tree overlay stands. Then we have several, 6 of them I believe here, that are what we call kind of trade-off place types. So they could either be innovation district and open space, or they can be estate rural and equestrian, and traditional residential. So there's a couple of areas that we weren't quite sure how it might develop out. So we gave you some options as new development comes in. Okay, so let's talk about the legal role within Indiana. So there are kind of 3 things that we look at here, and what you need to consider when a development petition comes before you. The first thing is Indiana law, that you must adopt your comprehensive plan in order to have zoning, which you guys have done. Rezoning and plat decisions must be consistent with the comprehensive plan. That is the #1 item under the 5 criteria of Indiana law, that you have to be consistent. Now, we're gonna talk about what consistent means in a moment. The plan forms the legal basis for your findings and your voting. So when you're voting, we'll talk about that you should be citing areas within the comprehensive plan, and that is what staff is here for, is to help you understand and know what areas within the comprehensive plan apply specifically to each development, and that's what they should be communicating to you through the staff report. Now, the thing is, the court, if you were to ever be sued, the court is gonna ask you, how consistent is this development plan with the comprehensive plan? And did you make the right interpretation when you made your motion and you approved or disapproved it? So what does consistent mean? It does not mean identical. It does not have to be an exact replica. It doesn't have to be, we had the little green square of trees overlay. You know, that's an approximation of where that tree grove is, but it doesn't have to be identical to it. What we're looking for is conservation of wooded areas, but again, in a close proximity to. It allows professional judgment. So the staff has the professional judgment. They've been trained to do this. So they will be imparting to you, you know, their guidance and what they think in terms of interpretation of the development plans coming in. And they're having those conversations with the developers about how to interpret the comprehensive plan themselves. You need to make sure that the proposal generally aligns with the plan's goals. Now again, it doesn't have to meet every goal. It can meet 2 goals, that's fine. It can meet 1 goal. We just need to make sure that the body of the development meets what the intent of the comprehensive plan is. If there's a conflict with the plan, that is a legitimate basis for denial. So if someone came in and was doing something completely different or was adding more density than what the place type called for, you could deny based on that because of the descriptions that we have in here. And you must state your findings on the record. You just don't vote. You should be saying, we make a motion to approve, accept, deny, because this does not meet section 25.5 of the comprehensive plan and the quality of place standards. So your motions may need to be tweaked a little bit as you kind of go forward. Now, what the plan does, it protects your decision-making if you follow this. So well-reasoned findings tied to the plan make it defensible for your attorney to be able to defend you in court. If you do things that are arbitrary, not grounded within the comprehensive plan, then a decision by the court could be rendered against you for not following your own comprehensive plan. The other thing that you want to do is, as you talked about earlier, this sets the standard for development. You wanna be consistent in your interpretation and your application of the comprehensive plan from development plan to development plan. So that way you're protecting the city from legal challenges and any kind of taxpayer liability that would be there. Okay, so let's talk about the decision-making framework. So there are 5 steps here that you look at. The first one is to identify the request. What is being asked of you? What do they wanna do? Is it a PUD? Is it a rezoning? What is it that they wanna do? The second thing you need to do then is locate it within the plan. So go to the place types map and find out where that property is on the place types map and see what place type it is. Go into the document where we have the place types written up and look and see what the policies are that we have for that place type. How do we describe the development? What are we expecting to be in this particular place type? You then find the relevant policies. So what goals or policies speak specifically to this request? You know, again, it may be something positive, it may be something that the petitioner is not doing at all. So again, that's where staff is gonna help you make those determinations. You then evaluate it for consistency. Does the request align with our policies within the comprehensive plan? Does it align with the place type? Where does it agree? Where does it disagree? And for the amount that it might not support or disagree with the comp plan, how much is that, how important is that, and what area is that in? And then does it put you in a position where you're in conflict with other areas of the comprehensive plan? And then lastly, you make your findings. So state specifically how it does or does not meet the comprehensive plans, the city's goals, the policies, and the actions. Okay, oh, I forgot because I did this in PDF. Don't look at the answers up here. Okay, so the first one, the comp plan is a wish list. It has no real legal weight. True or false?
Not true.
Okay, false. Indiana's law requires plan decisions to be consistent with the comp plan. Courts have overturned decisions that have ignored their comprehensive plan. Okay, if a rezoning is consistent with the place types map, we must approve it.
False. No, because there's other criteria, right?
There are other criteria. So it is false. Consistency with the place types map is necessary, but not sufficient. It can't just meet the place types of map. It has to meet the other 5 state law criteria you need to consider when rezoning. It also has to meet other goals and other policies within the comprehensive plan.
So how much does it need to meet? Does it need to hit all 5 categories? Does it need to hit a couple of them? Like what would you say this is enough for us to say it's good?
So it has to meet all 5 categories of state law, which are consistent. The first one's consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies. The second is compatible with current conditions and overall character of existing development in the immediate vicinity. So the way I interpret that as a professional is, especially when you have areas that are not developed, I say, you know, is this density that they are bringing in consistent with what we have seen in approvals around this particular area or in a place type that is similar to this?
Okay. So then, just in that, sorry, same
No,
train of
it's okay.
thought.
That's what I wanna have.
If that does have density and, you know, points are brought up like Victor did, you know, earlier today about other residents don't wanna see that, what's your stance?
Okay, so in that particular situation, the comprehensive plan does show growth out to a particular area. So I would, again, if it was consistent with the comprehensive plan and showed that growth within the density parameters, then, and it supported other goals and objectives, then I would approve it. When you get to the other side where we have shown rural estate and equestrian, and we've left some areas as ag, low density, then you have to ask yourselves, is the area changing enough that we need to amend our place type map to be consistent with how the township's growing out?
Okay.
So the township, it won't happen in the next 20 years, but we expect the township will eventually fully grow out. Because farmers are gonna continue to sell, because it's gonna get harder to develop, it's gonna be harder to have their farm equipment getting in between fields and things like that with traffic. Now you have some property owners who maybe own 5-10 acres, they're not gonna be willing to sell because they wanna keep that as the estate rural and equestrian. So, and that's perfectly fine. All of this predicates upon a landowner wanting to develop their land. So we're not forcing anyone to come, we're not forcing anyone to be rezoned, we're not forcing anyone to say that they have to develop what we've shown on the map. But this is what the policy and the vision for future growth is. Does that make sense? Okay, the other, you also, number 3 is make sure that it's the most desirable use for the property. The 4th legal criteria is there will be no adverse effect on the value of properties or the valuation of, or I should just say property values. And then the 5th one, it reflects responsible standards for growth and development. So those are the 5 criteria in law.
Can you say the last one? I'm sorry again.
Yeah, reflects responsible growth and development.
Okay.
So if they meet those 5 criteria, the place type map and some of the policies within the plan, then that development is consistent. So the last one here, the plan can be overridden by political pressure from residents or developers. Correct. False. The plan represents the community's collective voice from public engagement. We talked about we had 10% of the community engage in this plan while we created it. The most that's I think 5 times, 10 times more than what was in the last plan. So the decisions must be based on findings and not on pressure.
Okay, so you're saying, cause you've gathered intel from the larger community, so if one particular neighborhood or something says, you know, that doesn't equate to the validity of everybody's feedback that they've given to you.
Right. So, I mean, the other thing to look at too, and we'll get to this on one of the slides, but the public opinion does not meet those 5 criteria and is not a valid finding for denying something or approving something. It has to be, the findings have to be tied back to the comprehensive plan. Now, I will always tell you that you should listen to the public. You know, do what you've tried to do here is work with the developer, get them as close to addressing the public's concerns. You know, you as the plan commission have to figure out, how do we mitigate the impacts that the residents see as a problem in the future? And then what can we say, or what conditions can we put on the development? So it makes it a win-win for everyone. But public opinion in itself is not a fact, according to Indiana state law, for you to make a finding of approval or denial. Okay, so what we're gonna do is go through some,
Sorry to hold this up, but if I may jump back into that conversation on the prior slide. That last bullet point, and then furthermore connecting it to the slide before that, the plan's legal role in Indiana. Again, I appreciate all the work that went into the plan. I was on the steering committee. There was much that I agreed with, and I know that when we voted on this, many of the counselors, we all said, there's things we agree with, there's things we don't agree with. But once more, this is exactly why I voted no, because Northwest residents feeling completely ignored with how the final result was. So this is where it puts, maybe not everyone, because we may disagree and that's totally fine, but puts myself in a incredibly difficult position, because in the past I have been a stickler of, hey, we need to follow the rule of law, so on and so forth. But when again, the residents just feeling completely ignored, it's difficult to navigate that. And that's why I fought, just for the residents that might be listening, I fought to have the Northwest be the place type of the estate rural / equestrian / traditional residential. So then that opportunity wouldn't have been available to have that larger lot style in the future. But unfortunately, as we know with the existing plan, majority of that is just the traditional residential as well as the master plan residential and then even the village centers. So I just articulate that to say, really, I guess, vent my frustration of I hear all the residents, I agree with you, and it is an incredibly difficult position now to be in for, again, not just myself, but others, that, hey, we might agree that it needs to be a smaller density, but everything that's being accounted for now is of a higher density in nature.
If I might, for just a moment, I am 100% always on board with everyone being able to express their opinion. I always support Councilor McCarty in doing that. And I know what I don't want this to devolve into is a discussion related to the process leading up to the comprehensive plan. Because I don't wanna be here till 10:30, no one else does either. I would prefer that the rest of this conversation, if you would permit me to do so, and I appreciate you trying to increase the public intelligibility of this document. I think this is just kind of a nuts and bolts presentation of the process, and I'd like to keep it that way, just because this is here's the legal basis. And then you always know, you as a counselor have a whole different set of standards when you move to the next stage, and I support all of it. But what I don't wanna do is relitigate this in this particular presentation.
And I say all that really,
Yeah.
yes, my frustration, but also just to enforce the
Yep.
legal standing
Sure,
of it.
absolutely.
I know many share my frustration, but now we have this
Don't take that
legal
as an
basis.
admonishment.
Oh, no, no,
I just
no,
don't
no.
wanna be here till 10:30.
Yes, yeah.
Cynthia, please proceed.
Okay, so why don't we go on to the next slide? Keep going. Okay, so we put together 4 scenarios to walk through with you. So the first one is mixed housing development. So you have a developer who requests to create a mixed housing development. There's gonna be single family homes, townhomes, duplexes, and mid-rise apartments. The place type map shows it as traditional residential. The applicant argues that the development will offer affordable housing units through duplexes and mid-rise apartments, tremendous amenities and creativity with a moderate density. So the questions that you should be asking yourself: does the place type map designation support this request? What does it say specifically about this area? Are there transportation policies about the corridor that it's gonna be located on? And what does the plan envision for that particular area around it? Is affordable housing, tremendous amenities, and low to moderate density a valid planning finding? And then what does the approval signal to other landowners? How does this set precedent and affect the plan's integrity? So let's go on to so this is a made-up schematic sketch of what that housing development could look like, with a couple of parks and open space. You have your townhomes that are kind of around it. You have your duplexes at the corner. You have single-family homes in the center. So, you know, we're looking at 13 acres total, about 42 single-family homes, 32 townhome units, 12 duplexes, and 72 apartments in this, okay? So let's go to the next slide. So we look at the place types map. And so the place types map, it's located at 193rd Street and Ditch Road. It is clearly within the traditional residential category. So under that place type, primary uses are single-family residential. Now, supporting or secondary uses, you can have single-family attached, which would be duplexes and townhomes. You can have multi-rise apartments, 12 or fewer units per building. So when you look at the description of the traditional residential, you see here that it's low to moderate density, detached single unit housing on lots with ample yards and separation between dwellings. It may include attached single unit housing, townhomes, duplexes, but still maintain larger lot sizes and lower density. The peaceful residential atmosphere is enhanced by preserving open space, vegetation, and natural features. The neighborhood amenities promote social interaction. And the neighborhood amenities should be connected by a comprehensive sidewalk, trail network, promote walkability, accessibility, and safety. Go on to the next one. Okay, so when we look at the thoroughfare plan map that was in here, again, here's our block. So this red line here is a primary arterial, so meaning it takes a lot of traffic and gets it to where it needs to go. Ditch Road is a secondary arterial, so not as significant of what 193rd Street is. Now, the other thing that we look at is down here where we see potential road types and road layouts. So the green mean it's the preferred network, which looks like it got shut off there. So the curvilinear grid, the fused cul-de-sacs, and curvilinear loops are the kind of the preferred types of streets that you want to see designed in it. So go back 2 slides for a second. Okay, so how should you respond to this development? Do you think that there's a place type conflict here?
Yes,
Okay. Say more about that.
I think there's too many apartments.
Okay.
But I think the single family homes in the green space looks appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Townhomes look appropriate, but I think there's too much multifamily.
Yes. Others?
The distinction of a primary use versus a secondary use, right? I think the primary use should be the dominant use of it. And if the primary use is supposed to be dedicated to single family and really just single family detached, and even single family attached to secondary, I think it's dwarfed by secondary uses. One question I had,
Okay.
mid-use or mid-rise versus multiplex, right? Like, do we view that as the same thing?
No.
Okay, cause I feel like that's how it was kind of mentioned, what note did I make? So we're saying multi-rise apartments of 12 or fewer are allowed.
Yes.
Is it really multi-rise or multiplex?
So it could be multi-rise, but then they have multiple buildings.
Okay, understood.
But the buildings cannot be kind of large scale buildings. They have to be 12 or fewer apartments in them.
How many stories is a multi-rise?
Could be between 3 and 4 stories.
I know this is just an example and scenario, but to help everyone visualize, that area is actually the Winterberg development that came through this body. So visualize that if this example, if Winterberg had this many apartments, that many townhomes, so on and so forth, would this have been a proper use or not?
So I thought to Billy's point that there's a secondary use for apartments, and because it was a small section that would, and majority of it was spent on the single units, that would be okay there, but I don't know.
Okay.
And I would also say this, you can't really, where the professional judgment comes into play is this is designated as what it's designated as, but at the same time, there could be existing conditions, so I can't tell you if it's right or wrong, because you don't even know the surrounding uses either, right? So
Right.
are your transitions intentional, or are you approaching it in the right way? There's a lot of unknowns, but I think that's the biggest thing.
I would just say we shouldn't even get a development like this unless Kevin's approved it and sent it to us. If he sends us something to us, he shouldn't have a job.
Okay, well, that's not always gonna happen.
Exactly.
I mean, I think the staff are more than happy to make recommendations to the planning commission and to the council regarding the professional judgment. Okay, let me ask you this, do you think affordable units is a planning finding?
No. I don't. I think we talked heavily on affordability, shouldn't be part of our consideration. It should be, again, does it align with the use types, does it align with what we're approaching? To get into the lens of affordability would get into the lens of bias based off of development, based off of price and what you wanna stay away from.
That's it.
Exactly.
Okay, well,
Sad, Billy.
but
I knew there was a but.
in Indiana, affordable housing is a viable finding if the comprehensive plan contains specific policies about this. This comprehensive plan says, support diversification of housing types and integrate neighborhood supporting uses into neighborhoods. So from that standpoint,
just vague.
That's what this, on the face of it,
It's
that
just
is what this is doing.
I have no idea what you just said.
It's vague on purpose.
Okay. Alright.
It gives us discretion.
So what it
Yes,
means
try.
is, we wanna see
Try.
housing developments that have a variety of housing products within them,
Okay.
and not just single-family homes.
Gotta see variety, okay.
Yes.
Not just $1 million house.
Does variety necessarily translate to affordable / obtainable though? Because
Not always.
I'm just stating that because today's market average value for a home in Westfield is nearly $500,000. And that wouldn't necessarily be affordable to a lot of individuals. To be affordable, I mean, we'd probably have to be pushing into the
Plus you have a job.
200 or 300 range. And that's hard to do market wise.
Okay, the last question. So do you think that this would be spot zoning and set precedents if you were to approve this?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good. So what would you do? You have three options. You would deny, table for a place type amendment, or approve.
Send no recommendation to council and let them
Second,
That
all those in favor?
That defeats the purpose of the training.
Second one.
That's what we call a cop-out.
Yeah. Okay, you said the second one?
I feel like that's the right answer.
Okay, others?
I would deny it, I just think there's still too many apartments for this type of place.
So, yes, you would deny this, so Ryan, go ahead to the few slides, there you go. So, the place type map and description is very clear. Traditional residential means the community's documented vision is lower density uses, not as many apartments. Additionally, the street network may not support that level of density without causing traffic issues. A promise of enhanced amenities and connectivity are not plan-based findings. So denial would be consistent with the plan and protects the plan commission legally. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay, so scenario 2, we have downtown mixed-use development. So a developer proposes a 4-story mixed-use building in downtown Westfield. Retail on the ground floor, 48 apartments above. The comprehensive plan identifies downtown as a priority for mixed-use growth and walkable redevelopment. Neighboring property owners object, citing concerns about building height, parking, and change to the neighborhood character. So what are the questions that you as the Plan Commission should be thinking about? So again, we go back to, does the place type map designation support the use and location of this proposed development? Is the neighborhood opposition a valid planning finding? And if not, then how do you handle it on the record? What does the plan say about building height within downtown? What are the plan's parking policies for downtown? Do they actually call for reduced requirements for the parking so that you could have that type of development? And then how do you vote and state findings when the plan clearly supports the project, but the room is against it? Okay, so let's go on. So this is actually a schematic plan that we took out of the downtown. We're saying this right here, Jersey Street next to Westfield Boulevard would be your development site. So, yep, and so in the place type map, it says that it is downtown. Now, the other thing is, in this particular instance, you have a separate plan, the downtown plan, that was also adopted by the Planning Commission that provides even more specific guidance on what should happen within the downtown. So, it looks at primary uses as apartments, mixed use, office, commercial, entertainment, and secondary uses of single-family attached and multiplex. So what are the key characteristics of this place type? So we know it's the heart of the city. We know that we need to have public spaces and plazas to make sure we have events and activities within the downtown. We want to make sure it's a hub for local and small businesses. We want to make sure that the pattern, the street layout, the block size, the building envelope, and the architectural inspiration is maintained consistently with the downtown plan. We wanna make sure we have wide sidewalks with amenities. We wanna make sure there are mixed-use buildings and commercial ground floors create an active street wall or an active street presence. We wanna make sure we incorporate urban living options to diversify the housing stock. And as I said, the downtown is governed by a downtown master plan study, which has been incorporated into the comprehensive plan as a reference. So, wait, go back. All right, so how should you respond to this?
We approved it 4 months ago, so I think we did it.
We did this,
We
yeah.
did it.
Okay, so does the plan clearly, so going back to the place type, does the plan clearly support this use?
Fully.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, it does. Okay, is neighborhood opposition a planning finding?
Yes. No,
No.
because it's downtown governed by the master plan study, which is incorporated into the comprehensive plan by schools.
Right.
Which is the.
So the most important, this is really the most important point of this scenario. You know, neighbors have the right to be heard. And you must note their opposition on the record. And again, I think you guys, even in just listening to the conversation tonight, really have tried to listen to the public and work with the developers to have them change their development in order to mitigate the impacts of the development. You want to continue to do that. But the volume or passion that anyone exhibits is not the basis for a denial or an approval. If the commission denies a plan consistent proposal because of neighborhood pressure, that is gonna open you up legally, and you are not gonna be you're gonna be legally vulnerable. So if you're gonna deny something like this, you need to cite specific policies within the comprehensive plan, specific things in the place type that they do not meet in order to provide a denial. So height and parking, what do you think? Do you think those are talked about in the downtown plan?
Mhm.
You're right, they are, and so they need to be taken into consideration. So what would you do for this? You have your three options. You can approve with design conditions, or not recommend and deny based on the opposition. What would you do?
Second one?
I'd approve with design.
You could either do
Conditions.
the approve or approve with design conditions. But again, in either case, you need to be specific in terms, especially with the design conditions, that you're specifying what's in the downtown plan. And holding that up because that is the policy for the downtown and how it should develop.
The only way you could really deny or not recommend approval is because of some of the uses, so it's a night entertainment club,
Right,
or something like that.
yes. And you as a plan commission have the ability to restrict that. You can place a condition on a development that they cannot have a nightclub in there. So that tool is at your disposal when you're reviewing petitions. Okay, let's go on to scenario 3.
Can I actually ask a question on that real quick if I may?
Yes.
So, we're never gonna leave, I'm sorry. Thinking through that, like obviously, you know, some of these overlays we've talked about, really the overlay is that binding document of the overlay, like we're not gonna write a traditional PUD to support it, right? And so if we do have those, I guess simple question, how are those documented? Like if we're looking at an overlay and we realize in the comprehensive plan, man, we missed the use, it doesn't say that the use is permitted, but we also don't want the use. Is that documented as an amendment to this? Is that just a side letter agreement? Like how do you actually enforce that?
Most of the overlays have the restrictions on them, don't they?
Some of them do, some of our overlays regulate use, some of them don't. I'm not tracking your question, I'm sorry.
So I think what I might, if I can take a stab. So typically what you would do is in the PUD, if the plan commission or the staff has said, we don't want this use here, then you would write in the PUD that these are excluded uses or prohibited uses. So you cannot have the following uses And again, that would carry over from development to development. If, you know, the person sold the property and wanted to come back in and redevelop it, they'd have to be consistent with that PUD. And so you would write in the PUD, they're either excluded or prohibited uses.
But if it's not a PUD,
Mm-hmm.
is that what
That
you're
was my
asking?
question, right?
So
Like,
you-
say somebody comes in,
Oh,
in
it's an
it's Grand
overlay,
Park
okay.
District, and you say, hey, like, all of this is permitted by right, but we realize we missed nightclub, right? And developer, I guess, but really kind of a voluntary commitment, I guess?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just side letter agreement is how it would be done, or how would that work?
So you would need to make the motion in your as part of your
You can
condition.
still make it a
You'd want it,
condition.
we could restrict it.
You can further restrict on straight zoning, which we don't do a lot here, we
Right.
haven't historically. You can further restrict through conditions.
Okay.
So you would include
Just
that
more
in your
along the lines of
motion.
verbal motion that carries with it, carries
Yeah, it
on.
would get written in part of the motion, it would get memorialized,
Mhm.
and that would be forwarded then to the council as for their consideration ultimately as well.
That makes sense, thank you.
Okay, the next one is a business park. So a developer wants to develop the Apex Business Park, which is an area that borders an existing estate rural residential neighborhood. The petitioner promises state-of-the-art noise reduction and generous landscaping. The draft PUD only requires the UDO baseline 20-foot buffer and allows 24/7 loading docks. So what are the questions? So again, the first question you should always ask yourself is, what does the place type map show for this site? Is industrial logistics consistent with the place type designation? Question 2, what specific measurable noise standards are binding in the PUD? So in this case, if you were doing a PUD, what would you put in there in terms of noise standards? What decibel limit applies at the residential property line? And Kevin, I can't remember if you guys have a noise standard or not within either within the overall city ordinance or
do.
within the industrial standards of your.
Both actually, yeah,
Okay.
we've got overall, well, their city ordinance has noise restrictions, but that's only within city limits, and then the UDO, which applies township wide, does, to your point, I think just in industrial districts, so there's, yeah.
Okay. So has an independent third-party noise study been conducted? Is that needed? And then what are the projected noise levels at the estate rural homes at 2 AM? What truck routes are gonna be used? So again, going back to that transportation component within the comprehensive plan. And then will semi-trucks travel through or adjacent to residential streets at night? And then why is a 20-foot buffer proposed when the plan requires protecting estate rural character? And what does the comp plan specifically say about industrial to residential transitions? So here is the schematic plan. I have to thank AI because I typed in my requirements and they did exactly, I had to modify it a couple times.
Very nice.
So we have rural residential over here. Here is our building layout with parking and overflow parking. You have your drainage down here. And you have your loading docks kind of internal. So go to the next map. So this is the parcel where it's located. So it's in an industrial place type, the general industrial place type. So this is 35 acres with 20,000 square foot, 20,000 square foot buildings. It's located on State Road 38 and Sheridan Road east of US 31. So what does the place type characteristics say? So development is encouraged in areas with easy access to major transportation routes that can support truck traffic. Uses producing noise, dust, vibration, or other nuisances should be buffered from less intense uses. Large setbacks, dense landscaping, sound walls, and other industry best practices should apply here. Parking and service areas, such as loading and waste disposal, should be located behind building and screened with evergreen trees and shrubs, attractive fences and or vegetative berms. Passenger vehicle traffic should be separated from the truck traffic for efficient circulation. And then you need to consider uses with high electricity and or water consumption should mitigate their own impacts. So, looking at renewable energy options, are they treating their own water on site and reusing that. We have a lot of different options that we have down here, solar panels, wind turbines, high efficiency fixtures, gray water reuse, things like that. Okay, so how should you respond to that? The promises versus the binding standards. So the developer promised that they were gonna use state-of-the-art sound walls. What do you guys think about that? In light of what we just talked about in the last scenario.
Paper the promise,
What's that?
paper the promise. Have the PUD updated to be more reflective.
Yep. So you should make sure that every commitment that you guys want to have made is written into the PUD as a specific enforceable standard. So, you know, whether that's requiring a decibel at the property line, exact buffer definition or dimensions, berm and wall specifications, all of that needs to be clearly laid out in the PUD.
Who writes the PUD for that?
So usually the developers are the one who writes the PUD. Now, again, the staff is going to review it and add on their technical knowledge, and I would presume, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, that if there was something that was inadequate about it, that you would share that with the plan commission.
Yeah, that's right. If they hadn't already made revisions to our satisfaction, we would definitely make you aware of that to give additional pressure or insight or
So if you
whatever.
didn't make us aware of it, we're to assume that it meets the standards. We don't need to go in and do a deep dive ourselves, or is that the expectation that you do that every time?
Well, if the staff is gonna do that for you, I've never seen them not do that.
Okay.
But yes, it's still incumbent on you to know what's in the comprehensive plan. Is part of your role as a plan commission member. So what do we think about the 20-foot buffer? Is it adequate?
Right there, not enough. 'Cause
Okay.
that's the North Point 2 PUD, and let's just say those residents wanted more than the 20-foot.
You are correct. So industry planning standards for heavy industrial adjacent to residential recommend between 50 and 150 feet with a solid masonry noise wall and or an earthen berm. So 20-foot landscape buffer is not gonna mitigate the noise and the truck effects of our development. So what do you think about the 24/7 loading dock operations? Now they turned the loading dock inward. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I would just think, I think that's not appropriate. I don't know if it's allowed, but I think that's not appropriate. Just personally next to a residential property.
Okay,
They turned them, but they
so what
turned them,
you
but they should be behind them. They should be facing away from the development.
yes. So again, parking, so what you would cite specifically are parking and service areas such as loading bays and what should be located behind buildings and screened. And passenger vehicle traffic should be separated from the truck traffic. So you would go in and cite those specific things when you are making a motion.
Well, how does that work with the 24/7 loading dock
So
access?
maybe you come back and tell them that they can only do it between business hours. They can only use their loading dock operations between, seven
7 to 10
to
PM or
10,
something, yeah.
yes,
You can dictate the route they have to take.
yes,
And
you
that's
can
the
do
only
that
route they
too.
can take, and if they take a different route, they can be cited.
So what would you do here? What do you think is the best position or outcome for the plan commission in their voting?
We do have a workshop, table it and wait.
Postpone it as long as possible.
I know, you looked ahead. Okay, so go ahead. So one of two things, you could deny it right now because it is not consistent with the comprehensive plan. Or you could come back and table it, return to the applicant, work with them to try to mitigate these impacts. And of course, if they can't get them mitigated, you still deny it.
Right.
Yeah, cause you wouldn't deny it before tabling it, cause I mean, we have a waiting period
Right.
in Westfield, don't we? So like, a denial would spark a 6-month wait before you can even talk about it again. That's what I mean, we table
Yes.
things to workshop all the time.
And I think that's a good practice, and that's, you know, that's what you should do here. Okay, last one. So this one is what we're called trail-oriented development. So a developer proposes a large single-story retail strip on land adjacent to the Monon Trail. The petition markets the project as a trail-oriented development project. However, the building is set back 200 feet from the trail, separated by a surface parking lot, and the only physical connection to the Monon Trail is a 5-foot wide sidewalk running across the parking lot. So again, the questions, so, you know, you would start with, of course, the place type map, but then what does the comprehensive plan specifically say about development on the Monon Trail? So there are items in the plan that talk about the Midland Trace, so the named trails, and how development should interact with them. Would you consider this actually trail-oriented development? Now, the other thing that we did in the comprehensive plan was we put in a lot of images to show what we want development to look like and how we want it to interact with the trail. So who is the primary customer here? Trail users or drivers? Now, I will tell you, when we're looking at trail-oriented development, your trail users are your customers, not the people driving to the area. So is the 5-foot sidewalk across 200 feet of moving car traffic a meaningful connection to the trail? And once built, so this is the other thing to think about, and this is for any type of development. Once built, this opportunity is gone for a generation. So it's gonna be a generation before you can redevelop that parcel again to what you wanna see. So let's look at the development plan. Okay, so here we have the road here, Horton Road. We have our single-story retail strip here, which is 35,000 square feet. We have the parking lot here with our 5-foot sidewalk going onto the trail, the Monon Trail right here. And you have houses on the other side. Okay, so the next slide, this shows you where it is. So it's in, this blue is the trail-oriented development. Here is the Monon Trail right here. Here is Horton Road right there. So the primary use is public and private open space, single-family attached units, multiplex apartments, mixed use, entertainment, commercial, and office uses. Secondary uses that you could have, lodging, civic, public, institutional, and utility. So the really key points here are these key characteristics of the place type. Trail-oriented development should be designed to fit within their local context and neighboring place types regarding development scale and character. So the buildings should be designed with a primary facade facing the trail, including residential or commercial main entrances, patios, landscaping, and other amenities. Trail-oriented developments incorporate public spaces for trail users, and then it lists some different things that you can have. Semi-public areas adjacent to trails are there to attract visitors to their businesses with unique and interactive landscaping, lighting, art. So TROD developments or trail-oriented development should incorporate dense mixed-use housing to meet the demand for trail-adjacent living. And the trails provide economic opportunities for businesses that rely heavily on foot traffic. So mixed-use buildings are encouraged. So the questions that I just thought about, so do you think that this development aligns with the place type?
Absolutely.
No, not at all.
Okay, great. Why is that? So if you had to cite something out of the comprehensive plan, what would you say?
Mixed
Why?
use is permitted, but singular use is not.
Yep, that's one. What else?
You're not providing an amenity area for the people that are using the trails. It's a huge big parking lot.
Yes.
It's built for cars, not built for pedestrians.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So-
what about that 5-foot sidewalk? Do you
Yeah,
think that's?
No, that's not.
Trash.
And
I
it
would
crosses too much vehicular traffic for it to actually be what is required. I mean, the place type, I think you
Basically,
mentioned
everything you
it.
have listed up there doesn't comply.
Yeah, exactly. It's not compact,
You
there's
can
not enough
list any of
uses.
Yes, you can.
On the next one.
I would table it with design requirements and
No,
totally
deny it.
flip it.
No,
Deny it.
I would old yeller that so fast.
So, yeah, you have,
Let's put it this way, it shouldn't even ever get to us,
Yeah.
cause Kevin shouldn't let that even get
I'm
to
gonna
us.
blame Ryan.
It's like, what if you put the building next to the Monon and the parking next to Horton?
well, and again, going back to, is it Billy?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't wanna call you the wrong name. What Billy said about being a single use
Right.
building, it really you know, the staff would go back and say, no, this is not what we're looking for. This needs to be multi-use, it needs to have some residential with it. You need more open space, you need landscaped areas, public plazas,
You can't
restaurants,
sacrifice,
those
you
types of
can't
things.
sacrifice your corridor visibility just to try to build a trailer oriented development, right? So like, you're telling me we're gonna start at the back of house of a retail strip down
Right, you should
Horton?
never come see us.
I blatantly deny it just because one, he's not following our comprehensive plan, he's basically totally disregarding it, Kevin didn't do his job.
There we go.
Yes.
I second that.
So you're, yes,
Hypothetically speaking, hypothetically speaking.
so your two options are
That's funny.
table with design requirements or deny it. That's gonna be your best positions on this particular development. Okay,
Kevin,
so
I only
let's,
say that cause I
It's
know
fun.
you wouldn't let it get to us.
This parcel will not come back. If you deny it, it will not come back.
right,
Well, for 1 year,
yes.
Well, and again, there's no fixing that. Like, if
unless.
somebody comes with that use, they're not going to be amenable to design requirements and adaptability. It's too single.
Okay, so let's talk about how you would.
They can
oh.
come back within 1 year if the council gives them permission to come back with it.
I believe that's, yeah, I don't remember off the top of my, it's either 6 months or a year, I don't deny, I
The
think it's
council.
I think it's well, yeah, we can suspend that's a local rule. There may be some statutory rule, I don't know.
Maybe
We
look
don't
at
have to
it
deal with
like
it very
gone for a
often, so I'm committed
generation,
to memory.
like
Yes.
what do you wanna see here for like a long term and
Yes, that, I mean, that's what you should ask
What's your
yourself
downside?
about
Stephanie.
every development.
Stephanie, that's basically everything along 32 west of 31.
Yes.
That's screwed
yeah.
for another generation.
I don't
Mhm.
remember seeing any prohibitions in the statute.
Okay, so going on, how do you make a plan
Restaurant.
anchored motion?
Food restaurants.
So your 5-step framework here, so the first thing you're gonna do is state your action. You're gonna approve, deny, or forward a no recommendation. You're gonna cite the place type, whether the development is consistent or inconsistent with the place type because of, you know, what the policy is. Is it buffers, it doesn't meet the character that we laid out within the key characteristics of the comprehensive plan. You connect it back to the statute, so it's not responsible growth, it's gonna affect property values in a negative way, it's not consistent with the comprehensive plan. So those 5 criteria I told you about, and then have a final concluding statement. So here's our example motion. I move to forward a favorable recommendation. That's number 1, because the proposed flex industrial use, that's number 2, includes the required 40-foot edge transition buffer. That would be number 3, which satisfies our duty to pay reasonable regard to the comprehensive plan. Number 4, so that criteria, and protects the conservation of property values. So that's how you would make your motion. So that's how you make a plan anchored motion in this. That makes sense?
It feels very like BZA findings of facty.
You don't have to second with that much detail. The first person that makes the emotion.
Yes, the first person who makes the motion should have that detail. The second person doesn't have to have the detail. Okay, one more slide here. So, you know, what are some of the common pitfalls and what to avoid? Okay, so voting on preference or gut feeling. I mean, you guys, I feel like you're a very strong plan commission and that you're gonna vote based in what's grounded within the comprehensive plan and the policy of the community. And you're not necessarily gonna vote based on what your gut says. If you vote based on what your gut says and not based in plan reality, that's not good. So trusting the narrative. So accepting a developer's verbal promises or written narrative statement as sufficient protection for the community. So if they don't have something written in there that you want, you need to put that condition on it. A silent record. So making a generic motion, I move to approve this development petition without stating the why on the public record, again, is gonna leave you open to legal challenges. You know, caving to crowd pressure, we've already kind of talked about this, that neighborhood of opposition or support is not a valid planning finding. Inconsistent application. You do not want to treat the plan as flexible. It is a guideline, but if something is not, because an area is changing and the development being proposed is consistent with how the area is changing, you have them come back in and make a plan amendment. So make an amendment to the place type map, so then it's consistent with the comprehensive plan. Not stating your findings on record. If you don't state your verbal findings, then as the official part of the record, again, you're opening yourself up to kind of legal vulnerability that when someone comes to sue, you didn't have the why and how it was consistent with the plan or how it was consistent with the 5 criteria. And then lastly, ignoring the place types map. You don't want to ignore the place types map. Like I said, you want to, if you think something is consistent with how the area is developing, then that means you need a place type map amendment. Now, I would suggest in the next year, you use the comprehensive plan as it's kind of written, as the place type map is laid out, and see how development is going to work its way through. I think then, you know, after a year, you come back and work with staff and say, you know, how did this year go? What were the types of developments we got? How many things did we deny? How many things did we approve? What were we denying? What were we approving? Was our policy in a certain area not great enough to help us make decisions? So, all right, any other questions? That's the last slide there. Any other questions, thoughts?
I would say that if there are any questions, let's take those offline in the instance of time, if you wanna have that conversation afterwards, or of course, send an email to REA. I'm sure they will be happy to answer those questions.
Yeah, I'd be
Thank
more
you.
than happy. You guys can give me a call or
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I can meet with you. That's not a problem.
Thank you for presenting on your birthday.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
Go, we're gonna
thank
get you out of here to
you.
get some ice cream, they close at 10.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, do you have something?
Yeah, I just,
Dairy Queen, no, I want
just a
Dairy Queen.
quick, kind of from staff's perspective on a couple of these things. Not perspective, but so one of the things, I just want you all to know, one of the things we are working on behind the scenes is how to better communicate to you through our staff reports, really the new comp plan, policies and recommendations for every project. So we don't know what that's gonna look like yet, but I would anticipate some changes to our staff reports in the comp plan section. So as those are coming to fruition, we'll make sure we point you to that, so you kind of look for that. That'll be in the coming weeks or months, that. Second and last point, one of the things that kind of stuck out to me, and we may need to reconvene on this too with Nicole and maybe the planning commission leadership, is really kind of enhancing our motions, right? So we are making sure that we cite, comp plan policies and those sorts of things, so.
An enhanced staff report would allow for just like a
Yeah.
Instead of making it.
Make your motion on the recommendation, then make your underlying motion on the findings of fact.
Yeah.
Save word vomit.
Yeah, sure, that's right, if you wanna just refer to that, that'd probably be sufficient.
Yeah.
Right.
It's over here. Also additional. It's online.
Right, with that, I'm gonna suspend the comments and reports. Councilman Riccardi has his email out for those that wanna know what happened at council. most of the other folks aren't here to give a report, and the staff has no further BZA report.
Fine, we'll talk later.
Okay, very good. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Buckfist, second by Mr. Khan. Staff, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Carlson,
Yes.
Mr. McCarty,
Yes.
Mr. Mooney,
Yes.
Mr.
He's
Neal,
online.
Yes.
Mr. Woniger,
Yes.
Mr. Buckfist, and Mr. Khan.
Motion passes. We are adjourned at 9:15 PM.
He said, no, we're staying another 45 minutes.
Then I'm handing the gavel to Mr. Buckfist, and he will continue in my stead.
Dairy Queen still.
It is.